Well, hi, folks. Welcome back to the Rondane Hollar Report. Thanks so much for being with us for the third episode of the Rondane Hollar Report. Before we begin, I want to remind you that to hit the subscribe button on my YouTube page and click the bell so you get notifications of when you get new episodes and when I drop a video or two. It really helps the show a lot. And as we start the program today, we're of course we're in the middle of a little bit of a heat wave in May, getting a little bit of a taste of summer, and we're going to have a swing of temperatures coming up in a few days, and it's going to be much more colder as we head into Memorial Day weekend. We're going to have a really chilly Memorial Day weekend, and it's also going to be raining. So, as we're recording this episode, not necessarily going to be great, but hey, we're New Yorkers. We deal with a lot of crap, and we'll get through this together. After the bill cold we had, I don't know what we're going to expect this summer, but I know a lot of you are going to be very, very happy, especially if you enjoy the heat. But that's irrelevant to this point. It's time now to begin our show for today and welcoming my third guest. And her story, I want to say, is very, very compelling. We'll more on that later on, but I had an opportunity to chat with her before we begin, and this lovely lady is part of the Miss America organization. She'll be competing for the title of Miss New York this summer. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. Her local title is Miss Excelsior. This lovely lady's name is Jennaca Jones. Hi, Jennaca.
Hi, Ron. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks very much for being here. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm having a really good day today. You know, the heat went down a little bit, and the sun is hidden behind the clouds, so able to enjoy outdoor time a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice we're getting some decent weather so you can go out and enjoy it. And it also helps to have a little bit of breeze because
Yes.
it helps us when we're sweating to keep our temperature our body temperatures cool, and also stay hydrated, folks. It's very important you stay hydrated throughout the day to day, and also throughout the summer once we do get more consistently warm temperatures, more consistently hot temperatures. But obviously it's a very, very exciting time for you. Also, it's been very, very challenging for you as I read your story. And I do want to get right into it, so let's dive right in. So for starters, tell the audience about yourself. If I may ask you, where are you from, and how did you come to be in the Miss America organization?
Yeah, so I am born and raised in Saratoga Springs, New York, which is upstate New York for those who aren't familiar, about the halfway point between the Canadian border and New York City, and right near the capital of New York. So I've lived here pretty much forever, did a couple stints down south, but always ended up back. I got into pageantry when I was 16. That's kind of when I started my health journey. And my mom was always very opposed to it, but at that point just kind of let me do my thing. And I fell in love. And 8 years later, now here we are, and it's become the most important, or one of the most important pieces of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did being in the Miss America organization, specifically Miss New York, change your life?
So I decided to compete in the Miss America organization kind of on a whim. Last year, the Finger Lakes pageant was my first local that I did, and it happened to be on the 1-year anniversary of when I was found unresponsive in the hospital, and I had to have a lot of intervention to come back, and I got a second shot at my life. And so seeing that the pageant was exactly 1 year after that, it kind of felt like I was supposed to. So I gave it a shot, had no idea what I was doing. It was very different from a lot of other pageants. I figured out the interview process literally 5 minutes before I walked into the room. And thankfully I got second runner-up somehow. But the girls that I met and the sisterhood that I really experienced backstage solidified my choices for me. And, competing at Miss New York last year was the most uplifting experience. I had the unfortunate challenge of having surgery in June. The pageant was in July last year. and I was able to get my strength back and walk unassisted 1 week before I left for the pageant.
Good.
So it was a big challenge, but it truly solidified to me how strong that I was. And if I could do that at 50%, who knows what could happen this year at 100%.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about your medical condition in a little bit. But continuing on, I do want to talk about your community service initiative. Tell the folks about your CSI.
Yeah, so my community service initiative is called SPEAK, which stands for Survivors Persist, Empower, Advocate, Know. And my primary focus is sexual violence awareness and advocacy. I've had the privilege recently of working with Saratoga County's District Attorney, Brett Eby, and I actually Facebook messaged him. And thank God he took me seriously, and we set up a meeting. And so we are working real hard right now to get a support group set up for sexual violence victims, domestic violence victims, anyone in the county who's experienced violent crime or family members of those who were lost to violent crime, to come together and have some kind of support. Because unfortunately, the organizations that we have locally are incredible throughout the court process. But once you are through the court process, there is no support other than a list of therapists. And I know from my experience dealing with sexual violence, after going through the court process and repeating your story over and over and over again and having every detail scrutinized, the last thing that you want to do is immediately jump into therapy and start going over all of those details again. So this is kind of an opportunity for people to get together, feel empowerment of being around other survivors, and bridge that gap between the court process and starting formal mental health treatment.
Yeah, and it's very important that we continue to talk about mental health because for many, many years, mental health has been stigmatized regarding people who are going through a mental health episode as crazy. They're just wacky. They're just loonies. And it's nice to see more and more people are showing more compassion to people going through mental health episodes. Obviously, we still have a long way to go, but we're continuing to take those steps little by little, and it's continuing to make big strides in the conversation regarding mental health.
Absolutely.
Now, I do want to talk about your career. What are you doing career-wise, if I may ask you?
So I'm a licensed real estate salesperson in the Capital Region. So I help people find their forever homes.
Very, 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 very nice. How long have you been doing that?
I got licensed at the end of last year, actually.
Yep.
It's something I've always wanted to do. I've been obsessed with going to open houses since I was a kid.
Yep.
I used to actually steal all the printouts of the floor plans and go home and cut out cardboard and make the houses in like little models to scale, and then make little neighborhoods around. And with my health, I've had some challenges working over the years. And so being able to have a profession where I can control my own schedule and so much of it can be done remotely has been incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm very glad for that. Additionally, I want to ask you, do you have a nonprofit? Yes or no?
I do not have a nonprofit, but I am hoping to turn Speak into a nonprofit in the future.
All right, very, very good. Now, I do want to talk about your talent. I don't want to know what you're planning to do when you go to Miss New York, but I understand your talent is vocal. You did piano as one of your talents, but I do want to ask you, when did you get into performing and singing?
Actually, around the same time that my health kind of started taking a decline. I always sang constantly. It was just something I enjoyed doing. And I grew up playing the clarinet. And so I have a lower voice when I sing. And so a lot of the karaoke's that I was finding for singing did not fit my voice. So I took my knowledge from playing the clarinet, and taught myself piano by ear so I could start singing all of the songs that I wanted to in the appropriate key. And it's really been a huge therapy for me over the years. Anytime I'm going through anything happy, sad, I sit down at the piano and I, play songs and sing my feelings out. And I'm really excited to get to bring that to the Miss New York stage again and share my heart with everyone.
Yes, very, very good. And you pretty much answered your own question, but tell the folks again, when do you start playing piano?
I think I was 11 or 12 when I started teaching myself.
Oh, very, very nice. So you've been playing for over a decade now, obviously.
Yeah, it's not anything technically perfect. I kind of go off of more of the soul part of it and the feelings more than technical perfection. But
right. But you enjoy playing the piano. I can tell you enjoy it.
Yeah, my keyboard has gone with me everywhere. I started from a 1980s keyboard that took 5D batteries, so now I have a beautiful full-scale keyboard that I'm at for at least an hour every single day.
That's wonderful. Good for you. Now, you do have a serious medical condition that you've shared throughout your pageant journey. Would you mind sharing my audience if you feel comfortable enough to share your story?
Yeah. So I've had a lot of odd symptoms kind of throughout my entire life that were always just brushed off as like, oh, it's just Jennaca. And when I was 11, so it was the start of middle school when things kind of took a turn and we realized, okay, there's something, really serious going on here. And I just kind of had broad spectrum symptoms that were really hard to pinpoint for a long time. And I bounced between specialist to specialist, GI issues, joint pain. And then I was diagnosed with Lyme disease when I was 16, and we thought that was the cause of everything. And as we treated it, we realized there was so much more going on. I was born with a genetic disease called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which affects the connective tissue in your entire body, which is essentially the glue that holds everything together. So I deal with a lot of joint dislocations. It affects my memory, the way my whole GI system functions. And I also was born with a congenital abnormality called median arcuate ligament syndrome. So I had surgery for that when I was 16. And then we found out my stomach was paralyzed. I got my first feeding tube.
Damn.
I also have an autoimmune disease called Sjogren's, which has caused peripheral neuropathy. So the muscles and nerves in my legs are starting to atrophy. I'm numb pretty much up to mid-shin on both legs. And also started attacking my kidneys in the past few years. So it's been a big balance of everything and taking my time, learning, how my body functions on a day-to-day, ways to adapt, how to kind of fix each problem. But, it's made me who I am today, as much as it's been really difficult and really painful. I wouldn't change it. It's given me such a deep sense of empathy for the people around me. And I'm really proud to get to go on stage and show off my feeding tubes, and show little girls and boys that you don't have to be ashamed of them because there's next to no representation.
Yeah, I mean, it's that going through all the medical conditions that you have, it's really affected your life. You have to miss out on school, your dreams on going to college. It did took a toll on your life. How did you find the strength to fight back and get to the woman that you are now?
There are moments that I look back even today, and I truly have no idea how I got through it. It's just kind of one of those things where you have two options. You fight or you give up and succumb to your illness. And, I went through a period a couple years ago where I had completely given up. And that was around the time that I was resuscitated in the hospital. And getting that second chance at life, I think that's truly what was the biggest kicker for me. I realized that there has to be some bigger reason that I'm going through all of this. I don't think the universe would want me to suffer without a purpose. So I've just really been trying to find what that purpose is and share as much of my story as I can.
You know, what your story kind of reminds me of something that I went through last decade with my alma mater. You may have heard of a man named Pat Quinn, who was an alumnus of my alma mater, Iona College, now Iona University, who went through 7 years of ALS, but he fought like hell until hopefully a cure came in his lifetime. Unfortunately, that didn't happen for him, but he fought the best that he could, and he really, really inspired a lot of people. He really inspired me, and it encouraged me to learn more about these debilitating diseases. And also we have a lot more work to do on research and to find cures for all these terrible diseases. That includes cancer, that includes diabetes, that includes issues like MS and lupus, and the medical condition that you're going through, the medical conditions that you're going through.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the research has been focused on men in the medical community, and we're just kind of starting to see a little bit of a shift now in the way medical research is happening and actually doing research on the conditions that primarily affect women with women. So we've been making some big strides, and I hope in some way that sharing a little piece of my story can help aid that process.
Yeah, this is a perfect segue to my next question. What do you hope to inspire people with your talent and your story?
I mean, hope. That there's always hope is kind of the biggest thing. I live every day like there's some bigger reason. I always say everything happens for a reason. If I can inspire one singular person on this planet to keep fighting and to keep their hope, then all the pain and all the suffering that I pushed, myself through to get to this point is absolutely worth it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's might carry you on your Miss New York journey, and it may persuade the people that you're going to be interviewing with, and it may persuade the judges, but as far as the audience is concerned, they're gonna win them over. So because you're relatable, you're honest, you're not ashamed of what you're going through, and you're one hell of a badass. I will say that.
Thank you.
So I do want to ask you now, who has been the biggest inspiration in your life? Who's the one role model that you have looked up to for years?
This is one of my favorite questions, especially in interview too. My fifth grade teacher, Jean Hoynes, has been the biggest inspiration in my life and the person who's pushed me the most to become the woman that I am today. We still keep in touch now, over 10 years later. She saw me as a smart kid with a lot of potential who did not know how to push herself into her greatest form. And I, growing up was very resistant to change. And she appreciated that and acknowledged that and found really creative ways to keep pushing me and instilled a lot of the skills I still use to this day to push myself through really difficult things.
Yeah. Speaking of teachers, one of my biggest inspirations was my 10th grade algebra teacher. Her name is Sandra Knoll, and she was a very young teacher at the time, but she learned a lot from her students, and I learned a lot from her, and we grew a lot when we were in the same class together, when she was teaching me about algebra, and I learned a lot from her as well. She really inspired me just to keep on going, keep on fighting, and just be the best student I can be, and don't worry about what other people think. Shout out to you, Miss Knoller. Thank you very much. So next, one more role model in terms of the entertainment world, like celebrities. Who is your biggest inspiration?
In terms of celebrities?
Yep, in the category of celebrities.
I mean, there's lots of musicians that, I've looked up to and have kind of inspired my journey. But I have to say Halsey, who I'm not even a fan of her music, but she is also battling a lot of the same medical conditions that I am, and seeing her succeed despite that or in spite of that, in the music industry, it's really inspirational.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a very fascinating story. Thank you for that. So I want to ask, who has been the biggest supporter in your life, whether friends or family?
My best friend Mimi has truly been my rock. We met in seventh grade and have been inseparable since, despite our now big gap in where we live. She left me and moved down to Miami. She's actually going to be here this weekend, which will be really exciting.
Good.
But she is the first person I call when something goes wrong, the first person I call when the best, thing in the world happens to me. And she has never hesitated to be there with me through the darkest, hardest moments of my life. And that kind of kindness is something you can't find in a lot of people.
Yeah, good friends are very, very hard to find. True friends are very, very hard to find, and,
Yeah.
and to find a true friend like that is so rare. So I'm very, very happy to hear that news. And she's obviously a terrific friend to you, and I'm very happy to hear that she's inspired you, gave you so much hope, gave you so much resilience to be the woman that you are now. So what is the one thing that's giving you the most confidence and the most purpose in your life?
Confidence-wise, is absolutely the Miss America organization. Stepping on the Miss New York stage last year, I feel like I actually stepped into myself for the first time. That was really the turning point for me, where I chose to start living exclusively for myself. I've spent a lot of my life as a people pleaser and doing everything that I thought the people around me wanted and expected of me. And being in this organization has shown me that the best way to succeed and the best way to be happy in my life is to be 100% me without question.
Damn right. And that's well done on your part. I try to follow that same example. Try to
It's hard.
It's so damn hard. I mean you want to be the best version of yourself, but you also want to be good to people as well. And it's so damn hard because you don't want to come across as shallow and vain.
Yeah.
It's
finding that balance of empathy and self-empowerment is like a seesaw. You're trying to balance it perfectly, but there's always that little bit of kind of bounce back and forth.
Damn right. Very quickly, I kind of noticed a possible tattoo on your arm or something like that.
Oh yes.
May I see that?
Yeah. So this is just some flowers.
Mm-hmm.
I got it a few years ago during the first round of the national abortion ban. So all of the money went to the national abortion fund to help women gain access to the necessary health care that they need.
Very good. Excellent. Well done, Jennaca. So here's a quick 7-question lightning round. Are you ready to dive in?
I'm ready.
All right. Favorite color?
Pink.
Favorite food?
Ooh. Filet mignon, but from hibachi.
Favorite animal?
Swans.
Oh, I thought you were going to say your cat.
I love them very much, but I've got a special connection with swans, despite my immense fear of birds.
That's great. Favorite book?
Ooh, it's an easy read, but A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett.
Very nice. Very quickly, what is that book about?
It's about a young girl whose father goes missing in action in the war, and she's sent to a children's home.
Yep.
A very wealthy child, and then when her father goes missing, she's turned into a housemaid, and her father ends up coming home to the neighbor next door, and it's kind of her fight and resilience through that whole experience to get back to her father.
Very, very nice. Very, very nice. I gotta check out that book.
It's a beautiful book.
Favorite city that you visited?
Buffalo, New York.
Really? That's a very interesting selection. Any reason why?
The food scene is incredible. It's the most welcoming people you'll meet. I think it's the the most beautiful representation of our entire state. There's a little bit of everything and a place for everyone.
Oh, I got to visit Buffalo at some point.
Absolutely.
Favorite instrument? You mentioned the clarinet and the keyboard piano. What's your favorite instrument?
Cello, actually.
Oh, wow. Have you ever considered playing the cello yourself?
I have tried. I don't have the grip strength to play string instruments, but growing up, my mom played the cello, so it always has a soft spot in my heart.
Oh, very, very nice.
We have someone playing the cello at Miss New York this year, Miss Bluebird, Zoe Hale. She's an incredible cellist. I'm so excited to see her perform.
Well, the cello and the violin. I've seen some incredible violinists in my time. So, being part of watching everything in the Miss America / Miss New York organizations. Favorite music artist?
Queen, without question. Freddie Mercury, I love him.
The late great Freddie Mercury of Queen. Yeah, great songs there. Now, what is the lesson and what advice do you want to share with my audience following everything that you've been through?
Always have hope. Always follow your dreams, no matter, how challenging the road may be. And, despite the challenges, don't lose a hold of yourself. It's hard, but hold on to those little pieces that make you who you are, and that's what's going to help you get through, the darkest, hardest parts of your life.
Yeah, that was one of the 3 questions I didn't mention to you in advance. Additionally, how do you want to use your story and platform to inspire other young girls and women who may be going through the same challenging situation that you're going through?
I want to show young girls that you can still achieve everything you want to be. With having feeding tubes, I thought there was a point where I would be, essentially disqualified from ever being a title holder just because I looked different. I've learned that diversity and your differences are your strengths, not your weaknesses. And so I want, young women, old women, middle-aged women, whoever might be watching me on stage, or just in my daily life, to know that your differences are your strengths, to show up, show them, and watch how you blossom and bloom and succeed throughout your life.
Right. Absolutely. That's great advice. And finally, this is probably the big question I'm going to ask you. I think you're going to like this question. How do you want people to remember you, not as Jennaca Jones, Miss Excelsior, but as Jennaca Jones, the person?
That's a beautiful question. I just want people to remember my strength, but outside of that, remember my kindness and my resilience throughout everything. And I hope that I'm able to make some sort of a lasting change that people, can remember, even if it's just a small impact that I made in their life. When they think of me, I hope they think of the way that I was able to help them.
Yeah, absolutely. And to have the final word, myself, I know you've been going through so much hell throughout your life, especially with the medical conditions that you have. But I want people to understand it's okay to not be okay. You don't have to be so strong all the time. I can tell you're a very, very strong lady, but I think you can tell people it's okay to not be so strong all the time. It's okay to have moments of vulnerability, but it helps you to get through the darkest periods in your life, so you can eventually come out on the other side and experience the more brightest portions of your life. It's okay to not be okay, and having medical conditions, whatever they be, any type of disability, any type of handicap, any type of challenge, it doesn't define you. It just makes you who you are. It makes you unique in your own way. You just got to trust and surround yourself with the right people who trust, believe in you, and actually love you. Yeah. And if you don't have that, you have nothing. And as far as I'm concerned with you, you have a lot of people that love you and believe in you and want you to do well and be happy. And it feels like you're getting through everything despite of all the hell you're going through. And I want to say that even though I just met you today, I want to say that I'm very, very proud of you, and I sincerely want to thank you for sharing your story with me. Final words before we sign off?
I just want to thank you, for this opportunity. I know we've spoken a little bit throughout the years, and getting to actually sit down and speak with you has been a really incredible experience. And you are such an incredible person. So I thank you for, giving all of us this opportunity, and for being such a fierce supporter of all of us going through this journey in the organization, and outside of it too.
Yes, absolutely. Now, where can people find you, if I may ask you?
You can find me at Miss Excelsior NY on Instagram, or at Jennaca Blair on pretty much everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess you have a lot of platforms. You're very vocal on social media.
TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, I'm there.
Very, very cool. And also somewhat part-time animal lover. Well, full-time animal lover. You have a beautiful cat. Full-time animal lover and just a beautiful human being. Jennaca Jones, thank you so much for joining me on this show. I sincerely want to stick around because I want you to say goodbye as I sign off. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us. I really hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as we did. I hope this conversation touches your heart, touches your soul, because this show is about inspiring people. It's all about learning from each other and helping people. And we want to give people hope. That's what this podcast is trying to be about. We want to give people hope. We want to give people inspiration, because I know it's tough. It's a tough world out there. And we want this podcast to be a safe space for people to share with issues, so you can come out the other side and be better than you were the previous day. And as spoken from a popular old song, we love you more today than yesterday because of who you are and who you've become. So thank you for joining me on this show. Again, I want to remind you, click that bell and subscribe to this channel so you get notifications on new episodes and videos. You can check out the audio version on SoundCloud. You can follow me on Instagram. All the links will be in the description. If you want to pay me for my work, you can. There's a link to my Venmo account. All that will be there. Soon there'll be like articles on Substack that I'll be sharing, and an Instagram page to the Rondane Hollar Report. That page will be coming out really, really soon. And so you can check me out everywhere. But thank you very much for joining me on the Rondane Hollar Report. There'll be more episodes to come real soon. And Jennaca, once again, thank you so much for joining me on this show. I really enjoyed this conversation. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me for the Rondane Hollar Report. I will see you next time. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Take care, everybody. So long.